Jaylen Wright. All righty. Jaylen Wright there came from an interesting scenario there coming out of Tennessee. So remember last year, they were a prolific offense. They had, a couple receivers, including our own Jalen Hyatt get drafted. They had Hendon Hooker, who was one of the better quarterbacks, but unfortunately tore his ACL late in the season, which is what kind of killed his draft stock. And now he's a backup quarterback for the Lions. But that's the kind of situation it came out of. And they didn't feature him quite as much as far as need-wise. They kind of like, here you go, run the ball for a couple yards, then we'll pass the ball. That was kind of his role. This year, he had to take more of a step up at that point and be kind of one of the lead pieces of this offense there. And he definitely did step up. Jalen's 5'10", 210 pounds, 21 years old. So still not bad on the age or the size at that point. This last season here, 12 games, 137 rushes, 1,013 yards. It's 7.4 yards per carry average, 4 touchdowns, 22 rushes, 141 yards, a 91.0 PFF grade. That's pretty goddamn good.
That's impressive.
Yeah, that's really good. And we'll get into the pros here, but this is part of why I like this guy a lot. You're going to find out in a minute here. The season before, 13 games, 146 rushes, 874 yards. That's a 6.0 yards per carry average, 19 touchdowns. Think about that for a second. 146 rushes, 19 touchdowns. This tells you what his role was. Cleanup duty when the receiver got stopped in the 2-yard line.
Pretty much.
Yeah. 2 receptions, 8 yards, and that's all as far as the rush, the receiving. He wasn't much of a receiving because, again, they had so many good receivers in Tennessee that year. Here's the thing with him. He's extremely patient. He's a physical runner, and he's really good at pass protection. The downfalls of him is he lacks some of the explosiveness you see some of the other guys we talked about there. He's a little bit light still, I think, for his size at that point, for the way he plays, because, again, he's a physical guy. I wouldn't mind him adding like 5-10 pounds if he can without slowing down too bad. He's got the occasional vision issues as well, where he just doesn't see the hole pop up at that point. Doesn't see the guy sitting there about to pop out to go ahead and hit him and clog up the hole. But, guys, this is a guy, again, 7.4 yards per carry average last year. In the SEC, it's Tennessee. It's not West Tennessee Christian Polytech University. This is Rocky Top, man. This is a legit season in the SEC. This is respectable in every single way, shape, and form. And again, this is the guy who did it without a ton of yards. We talked about Blake Corum having about 500 rushes over 2 seasons. Was that the number I think we gave, right?
Yeah, a little over 500.
Yeah, a little over 500. Jaylen Wright, not even 300. And he's 21 years old. So he's 2 years younger with a whole lot more tread on the tires. And he's got a much higher yard per carry average. Played in a tougher conference. Again, I don't say these things to disparage or try to put down Blake Corum. I just keep on hearing people act like this guy is like some stud is going to walk into the NFL and run the place for some reason. And it's weird. I don't get it. I feel like it's people who are passive football fans that saw the national championship game and are like, oh, yeah.
He had a great game.
Like Corum, he was great in the national championship game. He's the guy. Like, guys, you got to watch the whole thing. And I again, Rob and I both admit freely, we're not the guys who sit there every Saturday watching college football. But what we do is when the season's over, we go back and actually watch these guys. and we watched a lot of tape on these guys. We watched them with no preconceived notions on who is best or better at that point there. We just purely go by the eye test and what we see.
Yeah.
That's it.
Once again, we're not biased to one team or another because I really don't watch college ball.
Yeah. There's no Rutgers people here.
Yeah.
So I think Jersey boys are usually biased towards. I'm telling you, Jaylen Wright is, if there is a lock for a guy to step in next season and have a really productive season and be a potential rookie of the year, Jaylen Wright is that guy in my mind from this group. And you'd heard me talk about Bucky, and I like Bucky a lot, but I don't think Bucky's going to be the amount of, rushing yards and all that it takes from that. I think people like him on fantasy. Bucky Irving's like the rookie fantasy, player of the year, basically kind of guy. But Jaylen Wright has got that potential to be the offensive player of a rookie of the year at that point there from the running back group. Let's be honest, it'll probably go to a wide receiver or a quarterback because that's the top guys in this draft overall. But Jaylen Wright's going to have an impressive rookie season if given the shot and given a good system at that point there. I have him going in the second round. But I can see a team sneaking up that thinks they're running back away and taking him late in the first, even at that point there. I don't think it'll happen, though, but I could see the thought process and understand it, I can't think of a team off the top of my head that would need him like that either, though, because, you got, a guy like, we know the Ravens 101. Well, now they got Derrick Henry. The Chiefs, you could sit there and say, but they need a receiver so bad, they'll probably take a receiver at that point, as opposed to trying to get a pairing with Isaiah Pacheco. So, yeah, probably will last until the second round. And then somebody's going to take him, and someone's going to get a damn good player in the second round, I think.
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.